In the middle of the 2020 pandemic, I needed a UPS for my video edit workstation. I ended up picking the CYBERPOWER CST1500S. Costco shipped it out. It showed up a little bit damaged on the exterior, but thanks to the foam padding, the unit seemed to be okay. A little tip with unboxing: if you open up one of the flaps and lay it down, you should be able to just lift the box away from it. In this case, it was a little harder than I expected because I was doing it one-handed, but once I got out the foam block, the cardboard box lifted right out. This is a nice way of unboxing things that are heavy, and in this case, this UPS weighs about 28 pounds. Inspecting the back plane, we see no damage to the unit. In the box, you'll find a manual, a coax cable, and a USB cable for communications between the computer and the UPS. The 5-foot power cable comes with a flat head, which makes installing behind furniture quite easy. Compared to its predecessor, this unit is a tower model. Controls are at the front end with all the plugs on the back end of the unit. You get dual 2.1 amp USB charging ports on the front. These are always active whether the unit is plugged in or on battery power. In an extended power outage, if there are no loads on the UPS, you can plug USB devices in here for days on end. As shipped, the unit may come with a full charge. This one did, but it won't operate until you physically plug in the cable. This is a safety feature that prevents it from accidentally coming on during shipment. Once plugged in, simply press the power button at the top, hold, wait for the beeps, then release. The LCD panel will light up, indicating the status of the unit. Below the LCD are 3 buttons. First one controls the display on and off, and it also allows you to toggle through all the display pages. The second one silences the alarm, and the third one is a self-test mode. These buttons also control other functions when used in combinations. Just simply follow the function setup guide that's included with the manual, or install the power panel software and control it from your computer. A close-up look at the LCD default page shows us a plug indicating that the unit is plugged in and online. The little plant with the plug in it indicates that the AVR, the automatic voltage regulator, is operating, and that regulates the voltage when it goes too low or goes too high without having to use the battery, thus saving you energy. And if we tilt down, we see that the line voltage coming in is 124 volts. During a power failure, the LCD will replace the plant and the plug with a small battery. Toggling the display takes us to the output voltage, and that's the voltage that your devices are receiving. Next is the frequency in hertz. Then the output in watts to the devices. Right now it's 0 because there's nothing plugged in. Next, the voltage amp output is displayed, followed by the watt percent output. The next page shows you the output voltage amp percentage. Then you get an indication of the state of charge of the battery, which is at 100% right now. The next page is the estimated runtime in minutes. This number will widely fluctuate, so don't take it as a hard number. It'll change depending on load and the discharge rate of the battery. The last page is the number of events. Those would include power outage, power coming back on, low voltage, high voltage. Looking at the back of the unit, we see a total of 10 plugs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are battery and surge protected. On the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are only surge protected. So while you have a total of 10, only 5 will get power once utility is lost. In the center is a circuit breaker reset. Use this should your devices overload the circuit or have a short. And remember, under no circumstance should you plug in a laser printer, paper shredder, copier, space heater, vacuum, sump pump, any large electrical devices. They can cause permanent damage to the unit and void the warranty. On the upper right hand of the panel, we see a USB connector and a serial connector. Either one can be used to communicate with a computer. Below that is a warning fault. This will indicate a bad ground, a missing ground, or reversed wiring. 2 Ethernet cable connections are provided to give you surge protection. Next to it is a coax in and out for your satellite or your cable system. surge protection. In the older models, the Ethernet connections also allowed you to plug in phones or fax machines. That is no longer the case. While the unit is charging or discharging, there's a fan that keeps it cool, and this is the sound that it makes. As I mentioned earlier, CYBERPOWER software allows you to control their UPS. It's no longer supplied with the unit. You have to go to their website, CYBERPOWERSystems.com, go to their products page, software, Power Panel Personal. Select download. You're given a choice of Mac, Windows, Linux. Pick your device, then hit download, install the software, and make sure to plug the included USB cable to the back of the UPS and to a free USB port on the back of your computer. Once installed, you'll see the power panel and the current status of your system. Here we see we're on utility power, 122 volts, power condition is normal, batteries at full capacity. We have 62 minutes of runtime, and our UPS load is at 117 watts, and status hardware is normal. If we flip over to summary, we can see if we've had power outages, under voltage, over voltage, and other events. Event logs keep a running record of any events that have occurred and are searchable by dates. There is an energy reporting tab, which allows you to see how much power has been used. Energy settings allows you to put in your energy cost so it can calculate that cost for you. The next tab takes you to configure your UPS mode, and there you can choose from a multitude of configurations, or you can choose from the drop-down menu above. In schedule, you can decide when you want the unit to come on and go off. Notifications allows you to send an email when there's a power outage. Runtime lets you decide how you want the computer to run when there's a power outage. In this case, it'll shut down 5 minutes prior to exhausting its battery, but you could also tell it to run for X number of minutes, then shut off, regardless of how much time is left on the battery. I think most people will want to use the keep computer running mode. Voltage allows you to set the low and high voltage for which the UPS will intervene. Anything below those numbers, it'll boost the voltage. Anything above those numbers, it'll bring it down. The standard default of 88 and 139 should work for most people. In the self-test tab, we can initiate a self-test of the system, in which it'll go offline, test the battery, test the charger, and just give you an update. In the advanced tab, we can set the voltage sensitivity from medium, low, or high. We can also set the shutdown from shutdown or hibernation. And you'll notice that always on the right-hand side, you'll see the power source, battery capacity, and the estimated runtime. On the top line, we see that the UPS is working normally, indicated by a green check mark. The final tab is the About tab, which gives us the version number of software, the model name of the hardware, firmware version, power rating, and websites that we can go to for more information. You may notice that the remaining battery time fluctuates with the load, so as the load changes, that estimated time will also change. So how long will this workstation run? That's the question everybody wants an answer to. My video edit workstation includes a 33-inch LED monitor, an i9-9900K CPU with GeForce RTX 2060 Super video card, 32 gigs of RAM, 5 terabytes of storage. With the UPS online, we turn on the workstation, and we'll see that the numbers fluctuate. And at this point, this is nothing more than just a boot up procedure for the computer. It'll probably stabilize around 135, though we can drop lower. I have launched the power panel and a stopwatch so we can see what happens when we pull the power on the unit. The power panel is configured to shut off the computer when there's 5 minutes left of battery time. We pull the plug, clock starts. We see that we've switched over to battery capacity. It's at 100. We're at 68 minutes, 64, 59. It's oscillating, though if we look on the power panel, it's at 59 minutes, whereas the UPS LCD panel fluctuates a lot more. Now I'm not going to make you watch this whole thing in real time, so we'll just jump to some important key points. At about 4:45, I decided to launch Premiere Pro so we can see a real world situation in which you're actually working and maybe you need to get a render out and done. So this is a 10-minute sequence that I will render out. And we see that the wattage goes up to 279. Our time drops down to 16 minutes of estimated runtime. So what I'm going to do is, once this finishes rendering out, I'm just going to redo it again and see how many times I can render this sequence. We'll stop here to check the status in real time. Come down to the UPS, we see it has an estimated time of 14 minutes. Load's fairly low, as you can see by the triangle. Two events. 0 input voltage. Output is 120 volts. Frequency is at a steady 60 hertz. And we can see the output wattage is varying all over the place depending on the demands of the workstation. Over 25 minutes into the test, we've reached our estimated runtime of 5 minutes on the battery. So it's now going to initiate its shutdown mode. And we should see Windows starting to close out. As you recall, after going offline, we initiated the render of a 10-minute sequence. We were able to do 4 of those, 3 of which completed. The renders were taking about 3 minutes apiece, with the final one being corrupt. Still, we were able to output 30 minutes worth of material before running out of power. Now the clock is still running. I'm going to unminimize that for you. And then we'll just pick up with the sequence time as the computer finishes shutting down. So we got a total of 26 minutes and 20 seconds, after which the UPS itself will go into a shutdown mode because it's reached its runtime of 5 minutes. And even though there's no load now and that runtime has expanded out, it's still going to shut down. Now, just because it's shutting down doesn't mean that it won't start charging as soon as power becomes available to it. And of course, you could override it and just power the unit back up, let's say if you wanted to plug in some USB devices. As we toggle through, we see now that it's into its countdown mode, less than 50 seconds before it shuts down. No power coming into it. Output is 120 volts. Frequency steady 60. No output power going out. But because it's in the standby mode and it's drawing power, it's going to shut down. We'll speed that up a little bit. And at 0, the unit completely shuts down. Later, when we go and look at our power panel events log, we can see where the utility power failed, battery started discharging, the output power was going to stop, and when the battery started to charge after power came back on. We plug in the unit, you hear a beep, another beep, and it turns on by itself. It automatically tells you that there's online utility, the AVR is working, battery's charging, and you have your input voltage, which is at 120 volts. You can immediately go back to work on your system, and the battery will continue to charge. Overall, I'm happy I upgraded to this higher performance system. Not only does it do sine wave, which is really good for my workstation, but because it's rated at 900 watts and I'm only using at the high end maybe 400 watts, this buys me extended time out when there is a power failure. So that if I'm in the middle of a project that I'm editing, I can finish that out before having to shut down. And of course, if the computer's unattended, it can take care of that for me. Some people may find the tower model a bit unsightly. I actually like it because it fits on a narrow shelf. And although it weighs almost 30 pounds, I only have to carry it once. If you found this video useful, leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and as always, thank you very much for watching.